Hey everybody, Jane here, and today I am doing a review for Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This has been a huge thing on BookTube, so you've probably already heard what it's about. But just in case you haven't, it is about a band called The Six and a singer called Daisy Jones. Daisy Jones joins The Six, they make an album, and then they split up. And this is kind of the story of that happening. I gave this a 4 out of 5. I did listen to the audiobook, obviously, and I would recommend doing that. I didn't get the book, so I don't know what the book looks like, but I can tell you in audio it's pretty amazing and it's very realistic. That is, I think, the best thing I can say to recommend this book is the characters are very real. The whole story sounds so real. It seems like a VH1 interview that I might have watched as a teenager. Like all these people in this band telling their story and being like, this is what happened. And the characters don't even agree sometimes. You have a character saying, oh, this is what happened. And then another character be like, no, that's not what happened. Or no, they're misremembering. Including even certain things like what inspired what song. So one of the main, I don't want to say the main character, besides Daisy, there's a guy named Billy. And he is the main songwriter for the Six. And her and him have a lot of clashes. And sometimes those clashes are over what inspired a book. And they have a lot of different misrememberings. So this was just awesome as far as realistic. I really enjoyed that. Taylor Jenkins Reid is definitely very good at bringing her characters to life. These characters, you would think that you could go search the internet and pull their album up. I mean, that is how realistic they felt. And I've heard the same is true for The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I've not read yet, but I do look forward to that. So, despite the fact that I thought the characters were amazing, there were some things that I didn't love about this book. Firstly, it gets off to a rather slow start. I was not fully engaged in things until about a quarter of the way through. About the first 3 discs, I was kind of meh. And then, especially once they started working on their album together and Daisy Jones really came into the picture with the Six, I became a lot more invested at that point. But the beginning was a real slow start for me, and it took a while for me to get engaged. Another problem I had is there is a lot of characters. We have the Six and Daisy Jones, so that's 7 right there. Plus, we have, I think, a manager. We have Billy's wife. All kinds of perspective. Plus, the girl who's doing the interview. And for me, large casts are confusing. Even with the characters narrating and different actors playing them, I still struggled with certain characters not being sure who was talking sometimes. And even now, I don't remember people's names. I remember their stories, and I'm not entirely sure I have each person's story fully correct. Like, some of the characters I do, but a lot of them I'm like kind of unsure of the details. Like, I might know their story, but I don't know if that's this person's brother or if that was the other person. So I struggled with the amount of characters in the story and differentiating them even with the cast. And that might be a me issue, but it's just, I much prefer a smaller story with 1 or 2 point of view characters that I can follow, and this was harder for me to handle because there just is so many people. This book did give me lots of feels. I didn't quite cry, but there were several places I could have. There are places that it is so emotional as these characters struggle with things like addiction. Um, Addiction is a huge theme in this book. I don't want to get too much into it because I feel like it would spoil things, but there are several characters who suffer from addiction and who their addiction plays a role in why the band couldn't be together. It is very sad and disheartening, and all, especially as we get closer to the end of the book and like the day that the band breaks up, there's just so much emotion. This book, it really did it. It hit me in the heart, and I was sad for the characters. And then we kind of get an epilogue of what happened to everybody afterwards, and I was so emotional about that as well. So I loved all the feels in this book. I loved how real everybody felt, and I think that's why the feels were so strong, is because, these people do sound real. This story sounds real. It sounds like it could have happened. It sounds like I could go and look at the life of this band and pull them up on VHS or VH1, MTV, that thing. I think the main complaint I have, and it's not a huge complaint, but it's kind of about the plot. And I'm going to try to say this without spoiling anything, because I don't think I'm going to do a spoiler section of this particular book. Although I haven't seen anybody else do it either. But I know it's one that a lot of people want to read, so I'm not going to spoil it. However, I felt like when everything was said and done, the reasons for the band breaking up were not anything hugely unusual. It's a rock band, and they were reasons very similar to one of my favorite bands breaking up. And I kind of wanted something a little bit more with that. Like, I was okay with it, it was fine, but it wasn't anything super unpredictable. It was kind of like, okay, this is why a rock band in real life would probably break up. So that was kind of a little bit disappointing for me. I did love the actual moment when Daisy Jones decides to leave the band. That moment was amazing. She has a discussion with another character, and that character kind of convinces her to leave, and that was great. That was probably the best moment in the book and one of the hardest hitting, and I loved it. But again, nothing so crazy that it's unbelievable, and maybe the fact that it is believable and we've heard it 100 times is why this book is so good and does give all the feels. But yeah, very much worth it, especially if you enjoy music, if you enjoy rock and roll, if you enjoyed those behind the music videos that used to be on when I was a teenager on the cable TV that I wasn't allowed to watch because, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. I recommend the audiobook. It was pretty great. I don't know how the book would be in comparison, but I've heard the book is a little bit confusing. And as confused as I was with the audiobook, I think it would be very confusing with the book. So, audiobook, definitely recommend. Other than that, it was good. I'm looking forward to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I feel a little bit more excited about it now because I've had a couple booktube recommended duds. I've had two of the booktube darlings, if you will, two books that were really huge on booktube this year that I read, and everybody was giving them a 5. Like, everybody was giving them a 5, and they were like a 3 for me. So I was really excited that I liked this. I wish it had been a 5, but it was really good. Like, it was really good. Just the slow start kind of put that back for me, and the fact that it was not really unpredictable. It went kind of exactly how you expect it to go, basically from day one. So it was fine. It was great. I enjoyed it. I recommend it. All right, guys, this is Jane. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe for more content. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you've read this book, tell me what you thought. Besides The Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, what other Taylor Jenkins Reid books should I give a try to, if I liked this one? Also, my social media is below if you would like to connect with me. And I'm a novelist. I write romance if you enjoy romance. I have several books on Kindle Unlimited, and all of my books are available on Amazon as well. Some on Kindle Unlimited, some not. And all the links to that are below if you'd like to check them out. Alright guys, this is Jane. Talk to you next time. Bye.